Ever feel like you're just constantly chasing the clock, always
Yeah.
needing just a little more time to actually live, not just, work?
Hmm.
Or maybe you're just buried under emails, meetings that feel, well, like they're eating your time instead of being productive.
Yeah, that sounds familiar to a lot of people.
You are definitely not alone. We seem to be standing at this really fascinating, maybe even critical turning point for how we all think about work.
It really feels like it. It's a moment shaped by, well, incredible tech changes, especially AI, right?
Exactly. And it's underscored by everything that's happened globally recently, things that made us all
Mhm.
sort of pause and rethink priorities.
It's true. That traditional 9 to 5, 5-day week, it's a model from the industrial age, really.
Yeah.
And it just feels increasingly out of sync with modern life and, frankly, with what technology can actually do for us now.
That's a perfect way to put it, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack in this deep dive.
Okay.
We've looked at a whole stack of sources that lay out this really compelling vision
Yeah.
for a future societal shift.
Right.
It's not like one giant leap, though. It's presented more as a thoughtful, three-stage roadmap.
Sort of a progression.
Yeah, think of it like that. Each step builds on the one before it, logically.
Okay, so what are the stages?
We'll start with something that's already got runs on the board,
Yeah.
the 4-day work week.
Right, the one people are talking about now.
Then we move to something more foundational, a bigger societal shift,
Mm.
universal paid leave. The idea is establishing it as a basic social right.
So, moving beyond just what individual companies offer.
Precisely. And finally, we'll get into the really speculative, but maybe increasingly plausible concept of an AI day.
AI day.
Yeah, a future where AI starts managing a lot of essential societal functions for us.
Wow, okay. That's ambitious.
It is. But look, these aren't just abstract theories for academics. Our mission today is to help you understand how these steps, sequentially, could really change your daily life, our communities.
Even our sense of purpose, perhaps.
Exactly. So, okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
So, stage 1, the 4-day work week. Let's dive in there. For a long time, when people heard 4-day week, I think their minds jumped to something pretty grim.
Like working 10-hour days, right?
Right.
Cramming it all in.
Yeah, that compressed work week idea. And honestly, those trials back in the 60s, 70s, they often fizzled out.
They did. Massive burnout was a huge issue.
Yeah.
And that's a really crucial misconception to clear up right away.
Okay.
The model that's actually gaining traction now, the transformative one, it isn't about working longer hours. It's fundamentally about working smarter.
Smarter, not longer.
Exactly. It's built on this principle called 180-100.
Okay, 180-100. That almost sounds a bit too good to be true. Break that down for us.
Sure. It means employees get 100% of their pay
Okay, no pay cut.
for working 80% of their previous hours,
So 1 day less, essentially.
all while maintaining 100% productivity.
Right, so the productivity doesn't drop. How? Where's the magic?
Well, the magic isn't just cutting hours randomly. It's in a really deliberate, often bottom-up process of work reorganization.
Ah, so there's prep work involved.
A lot of it. Companies often go through extensive preparation, workshops, coaching. The goal is to identify and just systematically eliminate inefficiencies.
Like what kind of things?
We're talking excessive meetings, poorly structured ones, unnecessary admin burden, constant digital interruptions, the endless emails and pings.
Okay, so it really forces the issue. It acts as a kind of forcing function, doesn't it?
That's a great term for it.
It pushes companies away from just measuring presenteeism,
Yeah,
hours clocked in at a desk, towards valuing actual outcomes.
exactly. Quality, completion, results. That's the focus.
And it's flexible too, right? It's not always Friday off.
Oh, absolutely. Flexibility is key. Friday off is common, sure, but you see staggered schedules, decentralized approaches where different teams choose their day, even annualized models where hours are reduced across the whole year.
Which explains how it works in different places.
Totally. That adaptability is why it's succeeded in such diverse sectors. Finance, tech, sure, but also construction. Even local fish and chip shops have made it work.
Okay, here's where I think it gets really compelling. The actual data, the empirical case, it seems like a win-win.
But data from the global pilot programs is remarkably consistent. Yeah, it's quite striking.
So on the employee side, what are we seeing?
Think about this. A workplace where stress is down by nearly 40%.
40%.
And burnout plummeting by a staggering 71%.
Wow.
People report significantly better mental and physical health. Even sleep improves 40% fewer sleep difficulties reported in some trials.
That alone is huge for daily life.
It fundamentally improves work-life balance. We're talking 60% find it easier to balance work with family and care duties.
60%.
And 62% find it easier to balance with social commitments. There's even a noticeable positive impact on gender equity.
How so?
Men in these 4-day-week trials tend to take on a significantly greater share of childcare duties. It starts to normalize that shared responsibility.
That's a really interesting side effect, and employees value it.
Immensely. Get this. In one study, 15% of employees said no amount of money would persuade them to go back to a 5-day schedule.
15% wouldn't go back for any salary increase.
Nope. That speaks volumes about the quality of life improvement.
It really does.
Yeah.
Those numbers are incredibly persuasive for employee well-being. But, okay, the flip side. The business. Does productivity tank? Do revenues suffer?
That's the big question, right? And the data strongly refutes that fear. Productivity is either maintained or in many cases actually increases.
Increases, even with fewer hours.
Yeah. Microsoft Japan saw a 40% boost in one trial. Perpetual Guardian in New Zealand reported a 20% increase.
40% is massive.
And revenues, generally stable or even growing. The UK trial showed an average revenue increase of 1.4% across participating companies.
Okay, average 1.4%, but some did better.
Oh yeah, some firms reported revenue bumps as high as 35%.
45%. Okay. And what about other operational stuff? Things like staff turnover, absenteeism. Those are big costs for businesses.
Critical point. The big UK trial, they saw a 57% drop in staff turnover.
57%.
And get this, a 65% fall in absenteeism.
Wow.
Those reductions translate directly into huge cost savings, improved stability. It becomes a really powerful competitive advantage for attracting and keeping talent.
Which is everything in today's market.
Absolutely.
And this isn't just like a honeymoon effect. People are excited at first, but does it last? Do these benefits hold up?
That's a key finding from the follow-up studies. These improvements are maintained over time. It's durable.
And the proof is in the pudding, I guess. Do companies stick with it?
Overwhelmingly, 92% of companies in that big UK trial continued the policy after the trial ended.
92%.
And almost a third, 30%, made it permanent immediately. That high continuation rate really tells you it's viable long term.
Okay, so the evidence seems overwhelmingly positive. But, nothing's perfect. It can't be a silver bullet for absolutely every situation.
Yeah, absolutely not.
What are the hurdles? Where does it go wrong? What are the pitfalls?
The single biggest failure point, and this is crucial, is when companies treat it as simple hour compression.
Just trying to cram 5 days of work into 4.
Exactly. Demanding the same tasks in less time without changing how work is done, that just leads to intensified pressure, more stress, not efficiency, and eventually people disengage.
It misses the whole point.
It fundamentally misunderstands that smarter, not faster principle.
Can you give us some examples? Where has it maybe not worked out as planned?
Sure. There's the case of Magyar Telekom in Hungary. They ran a trial for about 20 months but abandoned it. They're a large, complex organization, and they really struggled to apply it uniformly across different departments. It created scheduling chaos, conflicts, and for many employees, the longer workdays just weren't manageable.
So complexity was an issue.
Yeah, they concluded that running these parallel systems, some 4-day, some 5-day, just posed too many business risks.
Okay. Any others?
There's an interesting case from Australia, a startup called Yarno. They tried it for 2 years, but it ultimately failed.
A startup? You'd think they'd be agile enough.
Well, part of the problem was that the founders themselves, facing those intense early-stage business demands, couldn't consistently take their day off.
Leadership wasn't modeling it.
Exactly, and that undermined the policy's cultural goals, created inconsistency, maybe even resentment. It suggests you might need a certain level of business stability first.
So stability, genuine leadership commitment, those seem absolutely key. What other challenges pop up frequently?
Well, industry suitability is a big one. It's just inherently tougher for operations that need continuous coverage.
Like healthcare, emergency services, retail.
Exactly. You can do it, but it often requires significant extra hiring or really complex, staggered scheduling, which adds cost and complexity.
Makes sense. What else?
Customer satisfaction can be a concern. Reduced availability needs careful management, proactive communication, smart scheduling, and then there's the big one. Leadership resistance.
The old school mindset.
Yeah, leaders who still fundamentally equate productivity with bums on seats or hours logged in. If they aren't fully committed, or worse, if they don't model the behavior themselves, it can totally undermine the whole effort.
Right, so it sounds like it's much more than just a perk. It's a real strategic project. It demands deep organizational change.
That's a really powerful insight. The 4-day week isn't just a benefit, it's almost like a diagnostic tool for the organization.
How do you mean?
Well, the fact that companies can maintain or even boost productivity with 20% less work time, it kind of reveals how much of the traditional 40-hour week might actually be filled with, well, unproductive stuff.
Like those pointless meetings, the constant digital noise, redundant tasks?
Exactly. Implementing a 4-day week forces a company to confront that waste, to become leaner, more focused, more effective.
Okay, so that's the company level. But if we zoom out, a truly resilient society might need something bigger, right? More fundamental.
Yes, the 4-day week is mostly employer-led change. Stage 2 moves into public policy.
And that brings us to universal paid leave. This isn't just a corporate perk anymore. It's about establishing rest and care as a fundamental social right.
Exactly. And what's fascinating here is how this very modern policy idea connects back to some really deep philosophical roots. There's this ancient concept often called Sabbath economics.
Sabbath economics. Okay, tell us more. This isn't about religion, necessarily?
No, not primarily a theological argument for our purposes. It's more of a framework drawn from ancient traditions about long-term community viability and sustainability.
Interesting. What are the core ideas in that framework that resonate with universal paid leave?
It basically rests on 3 pillars. First is rest and restoration.
Okay.
The concept mandates a universal break from labor, not just for workers, but for everyone, owners, servants, even livestock, and the land itself.
Everyone and everything gets a break.
Yeah. It's a systemic guardrail against burnout and unsustainable extraction. It recognizes that just producing constantly isn't sustainable for anyone or anything.
Okay, preventing exhaustion across the board.
Yeah.
What's pillar number 2?
Second is anti-accumulation and redistribution. The Sabbath framework includes mechanisms that fundamentally check the endless pileup of wealth and power.
Good one.
Through broader applications like sabbatical years or the Jubilee year, which mandated things like debt release and land return. The goal was to regularly reset economic imbalances, prevent inherited poverty traps.
Wow, so a built-in mechanism for social equity, kind of resetting the playing field periodically. And the third pillar?
Third is community well-being, often summed up by the Hebrew word shalom.
Shalom, like peace, but broader.
Exactly. It's about the holistic well-being, the flourishing of the entire community. The Sabbath fostered this by suspending the usual work hierarchies, reinforcing a sense of shared destiny and mutual care.
Okay, I see the connection now.
So this framework helps us see universal paid leave not just as time off, but as a systemic intervention. It pushes back against unchecked production and exploitation, aiming for broader social resilience and equity.
So if we take that ancient wisdom and apply it today, how do we actually fund universal paid leave? What's the economic architecture that makes it work?
The most common and successful model is social insurance.
Okay, like Social Security
Fair.
or unemployment insurance.
Exactly like those. It works by pooling the risk and the cost across the entire workforce. Funding typically comes from small, mandatory payroll contributions.
Paid by who? Employers. Employees.
It varies, but often it's a mix. Employers, employees, or sometimes both contribute a small percentage. A public agency then manages the fund and pays out the benefits when people need leave.
And that's different from just telling companies you have to provide this, right? An employer mandate.
Very different and
Right.
generally preferred. An employer mandate forces individual companies to bear the full cost directly.
Which could be tough for small businesses.
Exactly. It can create really volatile, unpredictable costs, especially if several employees need leave at once. Social insurance smooths that out. By spreading the risk across millions, the cost for any single employer becomes very low and predictable.
So it's affordable.
Existing state-level programs in the U.S. and national programs elsewhere show it is. Payroll tax rates are typically quite low, often 1% or less of wages, and these programs have proven fiscally stable over time.
Okay, so it's feasible, but is it just a cost, or is it framed as more of an investment? Are there economic returns?
Definitely framed as an investment, it tends to boost labor force participation,
Wow.
particularly among women and caregivers. They're more likely to stay attached to the workforce if they know they can take needed time off without losing their job or income.
That makes sense. What else?
For businesses, it significantly reduces costly employee turnover. People are less likely to quit if they have access to leave, and because it provides income stability during leave, it helps maintain consumer spending in the economy and strengthens the overall tax base.
And who ultimately pays for it?
Largely, the cost is borne by workers themselves, but it's framed as a form of forced saving. Instead of a sudden, potentially catastrophic income loss when you need leave, it's smoothed out over time through those small contributions.
Okay. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, you mentioned a multi-dividend impact, like on public health. How does paid leave improve public health?
In several ways. First, when workers can actually afford to take sick leave, guess what? They're far less likely to go to work sick.
Right. Spreading fewer germs around the office or the factory floor.
Exactly. It significantly reduces the spread of infectious diseases. We saw how critical that was during the pandemic. It also encourages people to get preventative care rather than waiting until it's an emergency, which reduces costly ER visits.
Any other health links?
Yes, especially around families. Paid parental leave is strongly linked to lower infant mortality rates and higher childhood immunization rates. Huge public health wins.
Massive benefits there. What about for gender and family equity? You touched on this earlier.
Yeah, it's a really powerful tool here. Historically, women have carried the main burden of unpaid caregiving, and that's a major driver of the gender pay gap.
Because they drop out of the workforce or go part-time.
Right. Paid leave helps close that gap by keeping women attached to the labor force, improving their long-term earnings. But crucially, it also encourages men to take leave for caregiving.
Normalizing it as a shared thing.
Exactly. When men take paternity leave, it starts to shift those deep-seated cultural norms about who does the caring. That's a fundamental societal shift.
And it provides an economic safety net too, right? Preventing financial disaster.
Absolutely. It stops a health crisis or the arrival of a new child from pushing a family into poverty. This, in turn, reduces reliance on public assistance programs like food stamps or SNAP.
And potentially saves money elsewhere.
Yes, particularly in healthcare costs related to elder care. By enabling family members to care for aging relatives at home, it can reduce expensive nursing home admissions.
How much are we talking?
Well, one projection suggested a national paid leave program in the U.S. could save the healthcare system over $62 billion over a decade just from enabling more home-based care.
62 billion. Okay, so universal paid leave isn't just about giving people days off. It's really about rewriting the social contract, isn't it? Redefining security.
That's a great way to summarize it. It fundamentally starts to decouple basic income and security from the need for continuous, uninterrupted labor. It builds the societal muscle, you could say.
The muscle for what?
For a future where society might need to be organized around principles beyond just pure market-based work, it acts as a critical bridge towards that potential next stage.
Which brings us neatly to stage 3, the most futuristic one.
Yeah.
The AI day.
Right.
The vision here is AI and automation stepping up to manage many of society's essential functions, leading to these big structural gains in free time for everyone.
It might sound like pure sci-fi, but you have to remember, AI is already doing parts of this. It's optimizing power grids, managing supply chains, running transportation networks, handling customer service.
Even aspects of public administration.
Exactly. The potential benefits are huge. Better efficiency, improved reliability, stronger cybersecurity, and more personalized public services. But
There's always a but.
there's always a but. This increasing reliance on complex, interconnected, autonomous systems introduces a major challenge. It's often called the brittleness problem.
Brittleness problem. Okay, what does that mean when we're talking about AI running things?
In engineering, brittleness means a complex system is vulnerable to catastrophic failure from just minor, unexpected bumps or disruptions.
So things are so tightly linked that one small error can cause chaos.
Precisely. As systems get more automated and interdependent, a small glitch can cascade, triggering widespread outages or malfunctions. Think back to the 2010 flash crash in the financial markets.
Right, where automated trading algorithms went haywire.
Exactly. It caused a massive rapid market plunge. It was a stark warning about how unforeseen interactions in complex automated systems can lead to systemic risks.
So how do we solve that technically? How do we make an AI day stable and safe, not brittle?
Well, the engineering goal is to move towards what are called resilient agentic AI systems.
Agentic, meaning they have agency.
Yes. Think autonomous agents that can operate more independently, learn from experience, adapt to changing conditions, and coordinate with each other without needing constant human supervision or relying on rigid, fragile control structures.
So more robust, more decentralized.
Exactly. It requires a fundamentally more resilient technological foundation. But this technical challenge, this need to avoid brittleness in the AI systems, it's actually a really powerful metaphor for the bigger sociopolitical challenge.
How so?
Just like a brittle technical system can shatter unexpectedly, a society that automates its essential services without equally robust governance, strong social safety nets, and ways to manage the transition, that society also becomes dangerously fragile.
That's a really potent parallel. And speaking of governance, that brings up the huge question. If AI is making really consequential decisions, who's actually in charge? Who's responsible? This is the accountability gap, right?
That's the heart of it. As AI makes decisions that deeply affect people's lives, allocating benefits, maybe medical diagnoses, loan applications, who knows what else, the question becomes critical. Who is responsible when it makes a harmful or biased decision?
And the AI itself can't be held responsible.
No. And the problem is made worse by the black box nature of many advanced AI models. Even the people who build them sometimes can't fully explain why the AI reached a specific decision.
So AI governance is all about creating the frameworks to try and close that gap. What are the key principles guiding that effort?
It's about building comprehensive systems, policies, regulations, technical standards, ethical guidelines, all aimed at ensuring AI systems are developed and deployed safely, fairly, transparently, and in alignment with human rights and values.
Okay, what are some core principles there?
Key ones include transparency and explainability, often called XAI. Decisions should be interpretable, auditable. We need to understand how they're made.
Makes sense.
Then fairness and bias mitigation. Proactively finding and fixing biases in the data AI learns from, biases that could lead to discriminatory outcomes.
Critical. What else?
Human oversight and control. There must always be mechanisms for humans to monitor what the AI is doing, to intervene if necessary, and ultimately to override its decisions. The human in the loop or human on the loop.
Keeping humans in charge.
And finally, accountability. Ultimately, responsibility for the actions and impacts of AI systems must rest with human beings and human organizations.
Okay, so if we can manage the brittleness and the accountability, this vision of an AI day really opens the door to thinking about a post-work society.
Yes, where traditional employment as we know it might no longer be the central organizing principle of life for many people.
So how do different theories see this playing out? How do people access resources if jobs become scarce?
That's the core question post-work theory grapples with. One really optimistic techno-utopian vision is something called fully automated luxury communism, or FALC.
Fully automated luxury communism, okay?
Yeah, it's a provocative name popularized by Aaron Bastani. The core idea is that AI and automation will eventually drive the cost of producing goods and services down so low, potentially close to zero.
That scarcity itself is effectively eliminated.
Exactly. And this leads to a future of shared abundance, essentially breaking the fundamental logic of capitalism where value comes from scarcity and labor input.
That sounds, well, incredibly utopian, but there's always a darker potential flip side, isn't there?
There absolutely is. The dystopian risk is that the same technology leads to the exact opposite: extreme inequality.
Ow.
If the immense wealth generated by AI and robotics is captured primarily by the small group of people who own that technology, you could end up with a vast, permanently unemployable population with no means of support.
A two-tiered society on steroids.
Precisely. And the decisive factor, according to these analyses, determining which path we go down, utopia or dystopia, is public policy.
Policy choices we make now.
Specifically, mechanisms for wealth redistribution. The most commonly discussed proposal here is universal basic income, or UBI.
Right. UBI. Fiercely debated, I know, but positioned here as potentially crucial for sharing the benefits of automation fairly.
Indeed. It highlights that AI Day, this highly automated future, isn't some inevitable technological destiny we just have to accept.
It's a political choice.
It's a profound political choice. The structure of that future society, who benefits and who doesn't, depends directly on the governance decisions we make now about how to manage this transition and distribute the gains.
Okay, so let's say we navigate all those huge technical, economic, political challenges. We somehow arrive in this leisure society. But for basically all of human history, work hasn't just been about income. It's provided routine, identity, social connection, a sense of purpose.
Right.
What happens to us, psychologically, socially, if that central pillar is removed? The economist Keynes famously worried about this, didn't he? He called it the problem of leisure.
He did, and it's a very significant question. If work is no longer the main organizing principle of life, could that create a kind of societal vacuum? Could we see widespread loneliness, boredom, a lack of meaning, what sociologists call anomie, even if material needs are met?
It's a scary thought.
It is, but it's framed here as a challenge to be actively met, not an inevitable negative outcome. We need to think about how to build purpose and connection outside of traditional work structures.
Because leisure itself, having free time, actually has profound benefits for well-being, doesn't it?
Right.
It's not just empty time.
Absolutely not. There's a wealth of psychological and medical research showing that engaging in enjoyable, freely chosen activities, hobbies, learning, community involvement, play is a powerful antidote to stress, anxiety, and depression.
It makes you feel better.
It boosts mood, improves cognitive function, builds psychological resilience. And the positive effects aren't just fleeting, they have a carryover effect, improving long-term health and life satisfaction. We're always told to work hard, play hard, but maybe the play hard part needs to become a core societal principle, not just an afterthought.
I think anyone who's experienced burnout knows exactly what you mean. So the role of community and social connection becomes even more critical then.
Hugely critical. Work has historically been one of the primary ways people integrate into society, build networks, find belonging. If that diminishes, other institutions and activities need to step up and fill that role.
Like what?
Well, the increased free time that could come from things like the 4-day week or universal leave, or eventually an AI day, it could catalyze a real renaissance of civic life.
People having more time for things outside of work and home.
Exactly. You could see a resurgence in volunteering, community projects, local arts and culture, amateur sports, all the things that build social capital, that weave the fabric of community and provide alternative sources of identity and belonging.
And how does AI itself fit into this human dimension? Can it help or hinder?
It likely plays a dual role. On one hand, AI could be a powerful enabler of fulfilling leisure. Imagine hyper-personalized recommendations for hobbies, learning paths, travel itineraries, immersive entertainment experiences tailored exactly to your interests.
Sounds potentially amazing.
It does, but there's also a clear risk. If we become overly reliant on AI-mediated experiences, could it lead to greater social isolation, less face-to-face interaction?
The screen world takes over.
Yeah. So consciously balancing the benefits of AI-enhanced leisure with the need for authentic, real-world human connection will be absolutely key for a truly thriving post-work society.
Okay, and finally, let's talk education. If traditional jobs become less central, the way we've traditionally thought about education, basically as preparation for a job, the human capital model, this starts to look pretty outdated, right?
Completely outdated. If the goal isn't just to train people for specific jobs that might soon be automated anyway, then education needs a radical rethink, a fundamental transformation.
Towards what?
Towards cultivating the skills that are uniquely human, the ones less susceptible to automation. The World Economic Forum consistently highlights things like analytical and creative thinking, problem-solving, resilience, flexibility, agility, leadership, social influence, emotional intelligence.
The soft skills that turn out to be hard skills.
Exactly. Those become the core of human value add in a world where AI handles routine cognitive tasks.
So it's almost like a return to a kind of liberal arts for all model, but not just for an elite few.
That's a great way to frame it. Historically, a broad liberal arts education focusing on critical thinking, ethical reasoning, understanding history and culture, aesthetic appreciation, exploring the human condition was often seen as preparation for the leisure class.
Right.
In a highly automated future where more people have more leisure, those very skills become profoundly relevant and necessary for everyone. It's a potential democratization of those classical ideals.
And education wouldn't be just something you do at the start of your life.
No, it shifts from being front-loaded school, university, then work, to being a continuous lifelong process. The lines between learning, work, whatever form it takes, and leisure become much more blurred.
How would that look?
Think flexible learning pathways, easily accessible online platforms, micro-credentials for specific skills or interests, more project-based learning, community-based learning, ways for individuals to constantly pursue new interests, develop talents, and find ways to contribute throughout their lives.
So it's about personal fulfillment, but is there a bigger societal need for this kind of education?
Yes, absolutely. This shift isn't just about individuals finding meaning. It's arguably a prerequisite for the democratic governance of a complex AI-driven society.
How so?
Think about it. To oversee powerful AI systems, to make wise collective decisions about how automation is used, to hold these systems and their creators accountable, you need a citizenry with highly developed cognitive and ethical skills.
Critical thinking, moral reasoning.
Exactly. The very skills fostered by this reimagined, democratized liberal arts education, they become essential for a citizenry capable of participating meaningfully in the governance of their own future.
So liberal arts for all becomes the necessary foundation for democracy for all in the age of AI.
That's a powerful way to put it, and I think it captures the connection well.
Absolutely.
Mm.
So as we've explored today, this whole journey from our current work model through the 4-day week, through universal paid leave, and maybe towards this AI day, it's really not some predetermined path just laid out for us.
No, not at all.
It's presented as a series of deliberate political, social, and economic choices we have to make. Each stage seems to build the foundation for the next, moving us, maybe incrementally, from a focus purely on productivity at all costs.
Towards something potentially centered more on human well-being, sustainability, and flourishing.
Right, and the timing feels critical. This convergence of, on one hand, growing dissatisfaction with how work feels now, and on the other, the sheer speed of AI advancement.
It really does feel like a historic opportunity, a chance to consciously steer progress towards a future that's more sustainable, more equitable, and ultimately maybe more profoundly humane for everyone.
So maybe the final thought for you, the listener, is this. As you imagine a future where machines perhaps handle more of life's basic necessities, what new forms of human purpose, what new kinds of contribution might you discover for yourself?
And maybe just as importantly, how do we collectively ensure that whatever future unfolds, its benefits are shared by everyone, not just a few?